Here come the fuzz.
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So, it's time for another review in my review of the trilogy of the three flavours Cornetto Blood and Ice Cream trilogy. And today I'm going to be reviewing what is of course the second installment of the trilogy, directed once again by Edgar Wright and written by both him and Simon Pegg, who also stars in the lead role in this movie. And this movie of course is none other than 2007's Hot Fuzz. So, now how was this movie made, guys? So, following, of course, the commercial success of Shaun of the Dead, my favourite comedy movie of all time, which I reviewed last week, Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg were given full reign to do whatever they wanted on their next movie, and they chose to do a movie about the police. So when writing the movie, of course, they casted lots of their familiar collaborators. For example, they casted Simon Pegg's best friend Nick Frost, and he accepted a role in the film as long as he could get to name his character, which of course is Danny Butterman. And they also cast several other actors in this as well, which was pretty cool. And they took inspiration from over 100 action movies. And filming took place in Wells, Somerset, which is actually Edgar Wright's hometown, of course, where he grew up. They filmed it there. And 10 artists worked on visual effects, which included explosions, gore, and gunfire scenes. The film opened on 16th of February 2007 in the United Kingdom and on 20th of April in the United States to box office success, grossing $80 million worldwide against a budget of $12 to $16 million. And the film received critical acclaim with Empire in 2020 naming it the 67th greatest film in the 21st century. And it's also the most successful movie of the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy. When it comes to what I thought of this movie, when I first saw it, so I watched this movie a long time ago, guys, when I was young. And I gotta say that I definitely really love this movie. It's another one of my favourite comedy movies of all time, and it's definitely an absolute blast to watch, in my opinion, because I like to do a marathon of the Cornetto trilogy from time to time, and this is definitely an amazing one to watch. Like, a really amazing movie, in my opinion. So, what is this movie about? So, top London cop PC Nicholas Angel, who's played by Simon Pegg in the lead role, is good. Too good. To stop the rest of his team looking bad, he is reassigned to the quiet town of Sanford. He is paired with Danny Butterman, who endlessly questions him on the action lifestyle. Everything seems quiet for Angel until two actors are found decapitated. It is called an accident, but Angel won't accept that, especially when more and more people turn up dead. Angel and Danny clash with everyone while they try to uncover the truth behind the mystery of the apparent accidents, because they're not really accidents at all. So, now what I think is great about this movie is, just like of course Shaun of the Dead, which I already gushed about last week, Hot Fuzz, in my opinion, has a really amazing cast of actors. Many of them, of course, are familiar faces when it comes to Edgar Wright's productions. So, for example, the main character is once again played by Simon Pegg, which of course is PC Nicholas Angel. That's my second favourite role of his behind Shaun in Shaun of the Dead. And this is an example, I can say, of a role where Simon Pegg is playing a serious role, but serious in a funny way, I might add. Because this film is still hilarious nonetheless, despite Simon Pegg playing what appears to be a somewhat serious role. And he played Nicholas Angel really well in the movie, and he was very well prepared for the role, lots of working out and training, and Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg even interviewed real policemen as well, which was really cool. They actually interviewed loads of officers, which was pretty cool. And as well as that, he definitely played his part really well in the movie, gave it all he got, and did a really great job. I also, as well, definitely loved Nick Frost as PC Danny Butterman, and he was also, as well, once again, really funny and absolutely hilarious, and similar to Ed in Shaun of the Dead, my favourite role of Nick Frost, this is my second favourite role of his. Danny is also a bit of like a goofy character, and he's also absolutely hilarious, in my opinion. Really funny. And Nick Frost really did a great job playing him. And And there was many parts of the film involving him that I was dying of laughter at, especially on last night's rewatch. Now, when it comes to other characters in this movie, the main villain of the movie is, of course, is Danny's father, Frank Butterman, who is, of course, played by Jim Broadbent, and he's the inspector of the Sanford Police Department. And I consider Frank to be my favourite role of all time from Jim Broadbent. He's a great actor, and I think he did a really amazing job playing him. And as a fun fact, guys, Jim Broadbent was actually really desperate to appear in this film because he's a big fan of Shaun of the Dead, and I can't say blame him because I love the movie. It's my favourite comedy movie of all time. So he was casted in the role of Frank Butterman. In addition, when it comes to other characters, I definitely as well love Simon Skinner, who is played by Timothy Dalton. That's one of my favourite roles of all time from Timothy Dalton. My favourite role of his is James Bond, but I still think he was great in Mr. Simon Skinner. Did a really amazing job playing him, and it's one of my favourite roles of him as well. And the role was apparently written with Timothy Dalton in mind, so Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg were really happy when Timothy Dalton agreed to play Simon Skinner. And they had a really great time filming scenes, and apparently Timothy Dalton was very committed to filming scenes, and he'd even appear on the set when he was not even needed for the shots, of course. So that was definitely very kind of him, you know, you know, it's a very nice thing to do, really, really nice. I also as well like the addition of the other staff members of the police department. For example, I definitely think Paddy Considine and Rafe Spall were both really hilarious as the police, who are called the Andys, as in the mountain range, because they're both called Andrew Wainwright and Andrew Cartwright, to be specific. And as well as that, I definitely as well loved Olivia Colman as PC Doris Thatcher, and I thought that's also one of my favourite roles of Olivia Colman. She's a great actress. And I also as well, definitely loved also Kevin Eldon as Sergeant Tony Fisher. He was also pretty funny as well. And Carl Johnson as PC Bob Walker, who is the oldest member of the team. And also, I definitely love the dog Saxon. Saxon was adorable. Yeah, really cute dog. And furthermore as well, when it comes to the other police officers as in the movie, there's also other familiar faces too in this. For example, Martin Freeman, who of course had a appearance in Shaun of the Dead, actually appears in a slightly bigger role, but only at the beginning and the ending of the movie, in which he appears as a sergeant in the Metropolitan Police in London. He's one, of course, who first tells Nicholas about being transferred to Sanford. So it was nice to see him in this. And when it comes to other antagonists, I definitely as well loved Billy Whitelaw as Joyce Cooper, who was, of course, running the hotel where Nicholas is staying at in the movie. This was sadly her final film role before she died, rest in peace, but I think she played Joyce really well in this. And as well as that, Bill Bailey was also pretty funny in his scenes as a character called Sergeant Turner. Nobody tells him nothing. And yeah, it's definitely, you know, was a really great movie. And when it comes to other villains as well, I definitely as well love the addition of Paul Freeman as Reverend and Philip Shooter, who of course is a member of the clergy in Sanford. And that's one of my favourite roles of Paul Freeman. But my favourite role of his is still Belloc in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I think he was great as Reverend Shooter, though, in my opinion. And it was definitely, you know, a great movie with a massive, you know, great cast of actors. So many of them, like a big cast of great actors in this. And it was definitely, you know, an absolute blast to watch. The filming is also very impressive too. They took inspiration from Tony Scott's movies, may Tony rest in peace. And I can definitely tell when I see a movie. And when it comes to filming as well, while of course it was filmed in Wales in Somerset in the UK, Sanford is actually not as fictional as thought, because it's actually a place in the UK, but it's a ghost town which is used by the police for training, so it is kind of like a real place, really. And as well as that, the story is also really good as well, in my opinion, and it definitely does a really great job paying homage to lots of classic police movies, like, for example, the Lethal Weapon movies, and also Bad Boys and Die Hard and Point Break as well. Many police films are paid homage to in this movie, which is really cool. And the action as well, despite being a comedy movie, in my opinion, the action in this movie is actually quite epic, in my opinion, and actually really fun to watch. It's very well edited, and I can definitely tell they put a lot of effort into the blood and gore in this movie with the action. They did a really great job with it. And the film also as well handles lots of foreshadowing as well, just like the other films in the trilogy do. Like, so many hints what's happening. They definitely do a really great job with it. like, so many to name, really. Leave it, you know, you can notice when you rewatch it. When you rewatch a movie, you might notice details you didn't see before, and that's a great thing, really great thing. And, however, despite, of course, you know, having the police elements, it does have its fair share of hilarious moments, like, I want to say that Danny is, in my opinion, absolutely hilarious in this movie, like, so funny to watch, and it's definitely, you know, real hilarious to see, really funny. And yeah, if you've not seen this movie, guys, I'd recommend it strongly because it's just absolutely hilarious in my opinion, really funny. And as well as that, when it comes to, of course, the story behind the murders, of course, they definitely handled that really well, and they also as well made it in like a laughable reason why people would end up being killed, and the reason why is because the village wants to win an award for best village, because it's revealed that Frank is the accomplice who is in charge of who's in charge of an organisation called the NWA, which is the Neighbourhood Watch Alliance, as it's called in the movie, named after I think the rap group as well. So there is that, and it's revealed that they did the murders staged as accidents for various petty reasons, because each of the victims threatened a chance of winning Village of the Year, because Frank's late wife Irene, of course, unfortunately lost the chance to win Village of the Year despite putting a lot of effort into winning, and she ended up committing suicide because of it. So, yeah, but killing people for winning a Village of the Year it's pretty stupid and laughable, really. But yeah, it's a comedy film, so what do I expect, really? And it is disturbing and pretty silly at the same time, really, to be honest. And when it comes to the kills, they definitely are very graphic, in my opinion. Goodness me. And the killers in this film, the killers who wear the black cloak, they remind me a lot of Ghostface from Scream, except without the skeleton mask. So, yeah, it's definitely, you know, they definitely, you know, handled the kills really well, despite being a comedy movie, in my opinion. They definitely handled it, you know, pretty scarily. Goodness me. And the first victims, of course, are the actors Martin Blower and Eve Draper. And they, of course, end up getting killed because, guys, they can't act, because they play parts in a production of Romeo and Juliet. And they play like an embarrassingly bad performance, but it's still hilarious for nonetheless. And the actors who play the characters, David Threlfall and Lucy Punch, they did a good job making sure their characters, you know, couldn't act. And that play role was still hilarious, especially because of Nicholas Angel's face when they start singing. That is just so funny. It's also funny when you realise that there's people falling asleep in the background too. Yeah, it's just a really funny movie, nonetheless. And also as well, other victims is also as well the wealthy land developer George Merchant. He's also killed because his house is described as awful. And also as well, the journalist Tim Messenger is also killed because he's known for making lots of mistakes in newspaper articles as a writer. So yeah. And they also as well then kill a florist called Leslie Tiller as well. So unfortunately she gets killed with her own garden shears. That was also graphic. Goodness me. And I definitely like the twist where, as well, we think that, you know, it's one suspect who's the killer. But, however, despite this, it's revealed that it's actually lots of people. That twist was done very well, in my opinion, for a comedy movie, I might say. And when it comes to the people of Sanford, there's also a bit of a detail that I've noticed with them with regards to their surnames, being that all of their surnames appear to be named after jobs or activities, which is pretty cool, really, actually. Pretty nice detail when it comes to the characters. And so yeah, and the film does actually have great action scenes despite being a comedy movie. So I think the chase scenes are done very well, in my opinion. And also as well, when it comes to as well, I think the final showdown is also definitely really fun to watch, because despite being a comedy movie, in my opinion, the action in the final climax is actually lots of fun to watch. It's very well edited and it's done really well. And it does have a similarity to Shaun of the Dead as well, a little bit. And one thing that connects the trilogy together is probably the appearance of a Cornetto ice cream. Hence, of course, the title of Three Flavors Cornetto, because In Shaun of the Dead, there was a red ice cream, a strawberry flavour, which represents blood and zombies. In this one, the blue Cornetto makes an appearance, and blue, of course, is a reference to a police. So, yeah. And I definitely love Cornetto ice cream. I've not had one in a while, though. I could probably do with one. But nonetheless, though, Hot Fuzz is definitely a really amazing movie. And when it comes to a climax, though, of course, there's also as well a shocking twist where it's revealed that despite there being an epic showdown, one of the members of the NWA survived, which of course is Tom Weaver, who of course is one in charge of the CCTV in the station. And this was sadly one of Edward Woodward's last roles he was in before he died. Rest in peace. So, yeah, it's very unfortunate that he passed away. I think it was 2 years after this movie came out, so yeah, rest in peace to him. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. But he played Tom Weaver really well, though, in this movie, and it was very sad that he passed away a couple of years after. And it's over he survived the climax, and he's got like a big gun and like a rifle or something, and he shoots Danny, who jumps in the way of Nicholas. And however, though, Nicholas then kicks a bin into Weaver, and then Weaver falls back into the closet, which contains all the weapons confiscated from the farmer called Arthur Webley, who is played in a small role by David Bradley, which is pretty cool. He's a great actor as well. And this unfortunately causes the sea mine to go off. We thought it was, of course, deactivated, but it wasn't. So the bomb goes off and it destroys the station. Thankfully, however, no one is hurt, despite, of course, Danny being shot. And at the end of the movie, it appears as though, Danny has unfortunately been killed, and Nicholas goes to a grave with some flowers. We at first think, he's seeing Danny at his grave, but he then, of course, asks, hope he's okay. But then Danny appears alive and well and says, yeah, they're lovely. And it's revealed, of course, that they're laying flowers at his mother's grave. So, as a fun fact, guys, the mother is called Irene because she was originally going to be called Iris, but Jim Broadbent asked him to change it because he thought it would be a reference to a movie called Iris, which he really won an Oscar for. So, yeah, probably the right thing to do, really. And yeah, the ending is definitely really good because it ends with Angel being the inspector of the station, and Danny is also a sergeant, and a driver to a next crime scene. So it's definitely a nice, happy ending for them right there. The movie does have a massive amount of amazing moments as well. Parts that you can die of laughter at, and there's even, of course, parts, like I said, that are quite disturbing because it's like a crime police movie. So yeah, they definitely handle multiple genres really well in this, and I like how it also did something different to Shaun of the Dead, in which Simon Pegg and Nick Frost characters don't start off as being best friends like we do in Shaun of the Dead. Instead, their characters first meet in this movie, which is really cool, and they developed their friendship really well in the movie as well, or did a good job with it, and of course as well, they also did something different in which Nicholas Angel doesn't have a love interest who he meets in this movie, because at the start of the movie, of course, he breaks up with his girlfriend called Janine, who is played in a cameo appearance by Cate Blanchett, which is pretty awesome, but then he doesn't have one ever again afterwards. There was going to be one called Victoria, but she got cut out of the story, and many of her lines were instead given to Danny. And speaking of disguised cameos, there is actually a pretty awesome cameo appearance at the start of the film in which a criminal who's dressed up as Santa Claus stabbed Nicholas in his hand, and that, of course, was played none other than Sir Peter Jackson, which is really awesome. So, wow. It's really cool how we got him to have a cameo appearance in this. Him and Cate Blanchett, wow, so awesome. Yeah, it's really cool how we got him in this, But yeah, this movie is just absolutely hilarious, guys. I'd recommend it strongly if you guys have not seen it. It's definitely one of the best comedy movies I've ever seen in my life. One of my all-time favourites ever. And I don't have any problems with a movie, guys. No bad qualities. Apart from, of course, scenes that could be disturbing. But I still think it's an amazing film nonetheless. And it's definitely, worth watching if you've not seen it already. It's definitely an amazing blast from start to finish. So yeah. If you haven't already, guys, please give it a watch. Edgar Wright definitely gave all he got in this movie. And you can definitely tell, the film pays homage to his life as well, because it's what he's wanted to do, and of course as well, even including the supermarket Summerfield, which I think is no longer here now in the UK where I live, is actually a reference to him used to be working there, and even as cameo appearance as a staff member movie, which is pretty cool. So yeah, but as a shelf stacker, So, yeah, Edgar Wright really did a great job with this movie, and everyone else did a really great job. So, if you're on Twitter, guys, I'd recommend Hot Fuzz to see strongly. Great movie, in my opinion. So if you want to, I'll give it out of 10, guys. Because I love this movie, I don't have any problems with it. I'd probably give it a full-blown 10 out of 10. Yeah, I love it. And next week, I'll be reviewing my final film of a trilogy being The World's End, which I'm looking forward to doing. That'll be fun, won't it? So, yeah. So, guys, this is me doing my review for 2007's Hot Fuzz. Us be the cop comedy movie. So, you know, drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to let us know in the comments what you guys think of Hot Fuzz. If you see it in the little comments below what you think. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe if it's coming in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can join using a P or that, or you can go description, and I'll see you all later.